doing anything for so long, but she has still not returned to practice. She has still not returned to any sort of team activities yet. And I think with her being out for so long at this point, you also have to expect that the ramp-up period for her to get back on the court is going to take longer.
Caitlin Clark is out, and the WNBA is feeling the shockwaves. What happens when the league's brightest star disappears from the court?
So Atlanta getting 3 offensive rebounds right there, but this is classic Caitlin Clark, and Tahina Pow is going to learn very quickly that you go on.
Angel Reese, Tabitha Turner, and Autumn Johnson.
For most of 2024 and into 2025, Caitlin Clark was more than a rookie phenom. She was the story, the catalyst, and in many ways the engine that powered a surge in mainstream attention for the WNBA. Her arrival brought record crowds, historic television audiences, and a level of cultural buzz that the league had barely and rarely seen. But then came the injuries, one after another, and with them a series of dominoes that would reveal just how deeply her presence had come to matter, both in obvious ways and in ways that would surprise even the most devoted fans.
Clark is hurt. Not sure what happened.
But hold on, because Clark's injury saga began early in the 2025 season. After a brilliant rookie year that saw her become an all-star and finish near the top of MVP voting, she returned to the WNBA with heightened expectations. Fans across the country tuned in, social media lit up with clips of her deep threes and dazzling assists, and the league felt poised for its biggest year ever. Yet, as the season unfolded, it became clear that Clark's sophomore campaign would be anything but smooth.
Looks like she's in pain after that pass. She had been dealing most recently.
The first setback came in May 2025 when Clark suffered a strain to her left muscle. She missed multiple games, and as reporters noted at the time, her absence was immediately noticeable, not just on the court but in the data. National viewership figures for games she missed showed significant declines compared to contests where she played, with a notable drop in ratings reported during her absence in June. Nielsen data suggested that nationally televised WNBA viewership fell by as much as 55% compared to metrics from before her injury, marking a stark correlation between her presence and fan engagement. While injuries are not uncommon in professional sports, what happened next was unusual both in timing and in impact. Clark attempted to return, but as fans soon saw, the fitness setbacks seemed to compound. After the initial quad strain, she sat out again with a groin issue, and as she worked to come back, she even suffered an ankle bone bruise that further delayed her return and raised fresh concerns about the long road back.
Breaking news from the Indiana Fever, superstar guard Caitlin Clark confirming that she will not play again this season. Clark posting the news on social media saying, "I spent hours in the gym."
The most difficult development came in early September 2025, when Clark announced that she would not be returning for the remainder of the season. In a candid social media message, she described her frustration and the emotional toll of attempting to get healthy.
Gym every day with the singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling. Caitlin goes on to thank the Fever fans.
This was not just another injury update. It was the end of her 2025 playing season, and with it came a wider confrontation with the reality of how much the WNBA's trajectory had become intertwined with one player's health and availability. The broader impact was immediate and intense. Ticket prices for Fever games dropped, with road game pricing dropping sharply in the weeks following the announcement of her absence. Outlet reporting highlighted how games that had been expected to draw premium crowds suddenly saw a retreat in market demand, with fans reluctant to pay peak prices without Clark on the court. And guess what? Attendance patterns also underscored her drawing power. Even before 2025, studies and shared data showed that games featuring Clark consistently attracted significantly higher attendance than those without her. According to fan-posted analysis, games with Clark saw more than double the attendance compared to those without her, and Indiana Fever road games drew markedly more fans when she was active. But here's the real shocker, guys.
Angel Reese, and Angel Reese gets right up into Caitlin Clark. Afterwards has something to say as Clark walks away.
One of the most talked about rivalries in recent women's basketball, and now magnified by media attention, was between Clark and Angel Reese of the Chicago Sky. If you don't know about it, you're probably not their biggest fan, but no worries, because soon you will be.
We know there are always increased eyeballs, energy, and attention around the matchups between Reese and Clark.
Their matchups symbolize not just competition on the court, but a cultural clash between two different styles and personalities in the sport. Reese, known for her physical play and confident presence, and Clark, with her sharp shooting and relentless offensive creativity, turned every Fever Sky matchup into a must-watch event. That visceral anticipation helped fuel media narratives even before Clark's injury, but the contrast becomes all the sharper when she was forced to sit out many of those games. Even without her, games involving those teams were still able to draw attention, which speaks to the depth of interest in the league's stars.
It's the first time Kennedy Burke has missed a three in the last 3 games. She had made 7 in a row over her last 2. Nicely done to get it in.
The injury also had cascading effects on broader league discussions and storylines. With the ongoing CBA negotiations and conversations around player compensation and revenue sharing, Clark's absence became part of the backdrop for debates about the league's stability and growth trajectory. Fans and commentators referenced t-shirts worn by players advocating for better pay during warm-ups, illustrating how this season was about more than injury and wins. It was a moment of cultural and economic reckoning. Off the court, industry voices weighed in on how the WNBA might adapt. Some analysts predicted that without Clark's consistent presence, the league could face challenges maintaining the peaks in ratings and attendance it had enjoyed. Others pointed out that the league's overall growth was still notable. This contrast suggested that while Clark's injury was a significant event, the WNBA's expansion and overall product had broader appeal that could sustain interest even through star absences.
A chance for the old-fashioned three-point play. Caitlin Clark, 1 rebound more game than their opponents. Miss for Ionescu, and here comes...
Perhaps the most surprising aspect of Clark's impact was how her influence persisted even in absence. Regional games without her sometimes drew large audiences, and Fever contests that did not feature her were still among the most viewed on certain networks. This phenomenon was described by some commentators as the halo effect, wherein her star power continued to elevate the profile of games simply by association. Even when she could not play, fans remained engaged with her journey, her team, and how her absence was shaping the season's narrative. Yet fans were also sharply divided in their reactions. Many rallied around Clark, expressing support and sympathy for her tough break and the emotional toll it must have taken.
We've just learned a really troubling update regarding Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark. Looks like she is set to miss the rest of the season, including
And the immediate sporting implications were undeniable. Clark was not just out for weeks, she was out for the entire season. This spelled a loss of playoff eligibility because she could not be listed on the official postseason roster under WNBA rules. Even if she had fully recovered by the time of the playoffs, the timing meant that she was ineligible to participate in the Fever's postseason push. This added a bitter final chapter to her second season, one that contrasted sharply with her breakout rookie year and left fans wondering what might have been. Her statistical absence was also stark. Limited to just 13 games, Clark's averages, while still impressive, could not be sustained over a full season. By comparison with her rookie year and with other star players who stayed healthy, her numbers underscored how much potential impact was lost simply because her body could not stay intact. Teams, broadcasters, and league officials alike had to reckon with the reality that even the brightest star can be sidelined, and that professional sports are always vulnerable to the unpredictability of injuries.
In games, she averaged 16.5 points, 8.8 assists, 5 rebounds per game, but really just disappointing news, and you can sense her disappointment here as she had to make this tough.
Yet despite the setbacks, many voices in the basketball community expressed optimism about Clark's future. Former WNBA greats and analysts praised her work ethic, her commitment to recovery, and her influence on the sport. Some observers suggested that this forced break could ultimately deepen her career, allowing her to return stronger and more revered after facing adversity. Others pointed to the broader growth of the league, arguing that Clark's long-term legacy would survive this one tough season because she had already altered the conversation around women's basketball in America and beyond.
Announcement today. Once again, breaking sports news tonight. Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark set to miss the rest of the season due to an injury.
So, what did we get from all this? Caitlin Clark's injury and its ripple effects became one of the defining stories of the 2025 WNBA season. It was not just a tale of injury and missed games. It was a moment that revealed how far the league has come, how much fans care, and how every narrative in sports is shaped by the delicate human balance between greatness and fragility. The 2025 season will be remembered not just for who played, but for who didn't, and for what that absence taught the WNBA about its trajectory and its identity. Whether Clark returns stronger in 2026, whether rivalries evolve, or whether new stars rise to share the spotlight, the impact of this chapter will be felt for years to come. And if you have the same feeling, pour it out in the comments below.